Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Kalachandidam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Sata Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, and today is speaker's choice, which is the most difficult thing to do actually. We have like an incredible number of verses and then you say, pick one. 18,000 verses in Bhagavatam. Pick one. So, but I was thinking this Thursday, I think was Bahulashtami, and I think we played Prabhupada's tape on that day. So we'll read something about Radhakund from the Bhagavatam is what I was thinking today. So we'll read from the 10th canto. This is chapter 36. 10th canto, chapter 36. The title of the chapter is The Slaying of Arishta, the Bull Demon. And then we'll read text 16, which has a really nice commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the appearance of Radhakund. So if you have your phones, you can go to vedabase.io. We don't have the screen. And then you can click the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 36, and then this is text 16. So if you have it, you can repeat. Arishte nihate daitye Krishne nadbhuta karmana Kamsayataha Bhagavan Narado Devadarshana Arishte nihate daitye Krishne nadbhuta karmana Kamsayataha Bhagavan Narado Devadarshana Arishte nihate daitye Krishne nadbhuta karmana Kamsayataha Bhagavan Narado Devadarshana. Somebody wants to chant? Arishte nihate daitye bhuta karmana kamsayataha bhagavan naradho deva darshana. Arishte nihate daitye Krishnenadbhuta karmana Hamsayataha Bhagavan Naradho Deva Darshana. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arishte, Arishta, Nihate, having been killed. Daitye, the demon. Krishnena, by Krishna. Adbhuta Karmana, whose activities are wonderful. Kamsaya, to Kamsa. Atha, then. Aha, spoke. Bhagavan, the powerful sage. Narada, Narada. Deva Darshanaha, whose vision is godly. Translation. After Arishtasura had been killed by Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Narada Muni went to speak to King Kamsa. That powerful sage of godly vision addressed the king as follows. Please repeat. After Arishtasura had been killed by Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Narada Muni went to speak to King Kamsa. That powerful sage of godly vision addressed the king as follows. So we'll do the Mangalacharan and go to Srila Prabhupada's purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. So the context of this verse is that Narada Muni wants to accelerate the killing of Kamsa. So he knows that Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are going to come to an end. So Arishtasura was just killed. And Arishtasura was a bull demon. He was so tall that the hump of the bull touched the cloud. That's how big Arishtasura was. And then he came to kill all the Vrajavasis, and Krishna very easily killed Arishtasura. And after Krishna had killed Arishtasura, Narada Muni went straight to Kamsa. Because who else? What else happens in Vrindavan after Arishtasura is killed, you know? Yeah, that happens, then very few things happen after that before Akrura actually comes. Keshi demon and Vyomasura are killed, and then Kamsa sends Akrura immediately. So Narada Muni is accelerating the process of Kamsa getting killed soon. So he goes to Kamsa, and Narada Muni is such a wonderful personality, just like how the six Goswamis are, right? Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priya Karau. It says in the both for the ruffians and the sober people. They were very dear, the six Goswamis. So like that, Narada Muni can go to Vrindavan, and Narada Muni can go to the kingdom of Kamsa also, and be equally welcome, because he was equal to everybody. So he went there, and then Kamsa gave a year to him, and then what follows after these verses is basically Narada Muni telling Kamsa that you've been fooled, that you think your eighth child of your sister Devaki has been killed, but actually that child has been hidden in Vrindavan, fearing you, and that is Krishna. And then he sends Keshi demon after that. But what follows after Arishtasura is killed is something that's wonderful, and especially in this purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the conversation that happened between the gopis and Krishna after Krishna killed Arishtasura, the bull demon. So let's see the purport. The term Deva Darshana can be understood in many ways, all of which are consistent with the context and purport of this narration. Here Narada Muni is addressed as Deva Darshana, which means one with a godly vision. Deva means God, and Darshana means seeing, or an audience with a great personality. Thus, Deva Darshana, a name of Narada Muni, indicates that Narada has attained the perfection of seeing God. That getting Narada's audience is as good as getting gods, since Narada is a pure representative of the Lord. And also that Narada's audience is as good as that of the demigods, who are also known as Devas. That there are all these meanings of the term Deva Darshana reveals something of the richness of the Srimad Bhagavatam's language. So in Sanskrit, if you learn Sanskrit for like 2 years, I think the teachers will get you started on translation of the Gita, because although Gita is a poetry, the language is very simple. The Sanskrit is the most basic meter called Anushtup, like that, or the Ramayana also. So the Ramayana also is very simple in its language. So even 2 years of full-time Sanskrit study can get you to start translating these verses. But Srimad Bhagavatam is like the epitome of your Sanskrit study. Even then, it's very hard for you to get the meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam, because some of the words used in Srimad Bhagavatam, the only instance of that word used in Sanskrit is in Srimad Bhagavatam. So to figure out the meaning and the grammar, and the poetry is very sophisticated. We have unlimited number of meters, not unlimited, a lot of meters in Srimad Bhagavatam that are being used, and some very, very beautiful meters. And these, for the meters to fit, you have to have these long and short vowels. It's a mathematically very difficult thing to express the exact same thing you want to express in a meter, because you might have to change the words. If you want to say Kala Chanji in a Sanskrit meter, you have to say, think about the long and short vowels that are there and fit it in a specific meter that's there. So Srimad Bhagavatam is so rich in its language that Prabhupada said if we truly understand one word in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can go back home, back to God. That's how rich every single word in Srimad Bhagavatam is. And the purport continues. From the Puranas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has quoted 20 verses describing a joking conversation between Radha and Krishna that took place after Krishna had killed the demon Arishta. This conversation, so kindly quoted by the Acharya, describes the origin of Radhakund and Shamkund, Radha's and Krishna's bathing ponds. The verses are as follows. So I'm going to read just the English for the verses. So it starts. So after Krishna had killed Arishtasura, that's the scene now, and he's meeting the gopis. The innocent young gopis said, "Ah, Krishna, don't touch us now, O killer of a bull. Alas, even though Arishta was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you will have to undergo atonement, just as Lord Indra did after killing Vritrasura. But how can you purify yourself without going into the trouble of visiting every single holy place in the three worlds? This is what the gopis were saying. Although Arishtasura was a demon who had come to kill all the Vrajavasis, they were still quoting the Vedic injunction that the cows and the bulls are considered very sacred and they're never to be killed. And Krishna had actually killed a bull, and therefore he had committed a grave sin, and therefore he had to make some atonement. And the atonement that they considered was appropriate was to go and visit every single holy place in the three worlds, which is going to take a very, very long time, right? So Krishna replied, "Why should I have to wander throughout the entire universe? I will at once bring all the countless pilgrimage places here and take my bath in them. Just watch." With this, Lord Mukunda struck his heel on the ground. So this is Krishna. For all of us, it would have been an impossible task, right? But for Krishna, he can summon everybody to where he is. This is, you remember this story in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Brahma is going to meet Krishna. And then he goes to the gatekeeper, and then he's very proud that I am Lord Brahma. This is our Brahma, the four-headed Brahma, right? And he says, "Go and tell I've come." And then, "Can you tell who you are?" "I am Lord Brahma," he says to the gatekeeper. So Krishna understands that there is some pride in Lord Brahma. And then the gatekeepers go in and ask Krishna. And then Krishna asks, "Which Brahma?" Can you please go and ask him which Brahma he is? And in the meantime, he summons the Brahmas from all the universes. And then it is described that some Brahmas have 10 heads, some 100, some 1,000, some even 1,000,000 heads. Ours is one of the smallest universes, so Brahma with 4 heads is enough for us. But there are Brahmas with so many heads. And then he summons all of them, and then the gatekeeper comes and asks Brahma, "Do you know which Brahma?" He's asking, "Which Brahma are you?" And he's completely puzzled. "Which Brahma? What do you mean, which Brahma?" And then he goes in, and then he sees all these different Brahmas of different planets come in. And then the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that the first thing that all of them are doing once they are summoned is that they are paying obeisances. And all of these Brahmas are having these wonderful helmets on their head. And then when the helmets touch the ground, it makes a clamoring noise. And so Krishna can summon anybody and everybody at any point of time, right? So Krishna is taking the easy route here and says, "Why should I go through the entire universe? Let me summon everybody here." So then he said, "This is the water of the Bhagavati river, coming from the Patala region. And now, O holy places, all of you please come here." When the Supreme Lord had spoken these words, all the holy places went there and appeared before him. Krishna then addressed the gopis as follows. And he's now dramatizing it, right? He's called everybody in. Now he's going to say every single person who's there. "See, all the holy places. You wanted this, right? I should go to all the holy places. The holy places are right here." But the gopis replied, "We don't see them as you describe." Then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication, spoke up. So everything is a personality, right? So even the holy places have a personality behind them. So each of them come. "I am the salt ocean. I am the milk ocean. I am the Amra Dhirgika. I am the river Shona. I am the Sindhu. I am the Tamraparni. I am the holy place Pushkara. I am the river Saraswati. And we are Godavari, Yamuna, and Reva rivers, and the confluence of rivers at Prayag. Just see our waters." So all these personalities are coming up and introducing themselves one by one in front of the gopis. And then they entered this. So it is described that Krishna had put his foot down and created a crater, right? So all the holy places and the waters entered that space that Krishna had created. So after purifying himself by bathing, Lord Hari became quite arrogant. When was he not? Throughout this thing, he was arrogant. Now he's even more arrogant because he has done what the gopis had asked them to do, right? And said, "I've produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you gopis must never have executed any religious duties on this earth for the pleasure of Lord Brahma." Why is Krishna saying this? This is not described in this, but now Krishna's point of view is, you said I've created sin, but you've taken the side of a demon who had come to kill all the Vrajavasis. So looks like you've never really done any religious activities, because I ideally didn't have to do all of this. I've done this, but now the sin is on your side because for no reason you have punished me and asked me to atone for what I've done, right? So then Srimati Radharani addressed her girlfriends as follows. I must create an even more beautiful pond. So go to work. Having heard these words, the gopis saw that Arishtasura's hooves had dug a shallow ditch just west of Krishna's pond. So wherever it was, just west of that pond, was a big hole created by Arishtasura's hoof. And Radharani wanted to create a pond there. At the nearby spot, all the gopis began digging up lumps of soft mud with their hands. And in this way, a divine pond manifested in the short span of an hour. Krishna was astonished to see the lake they produced. So it is also described that they broke their bangles, right? And that's why it's Kanchana Kund. Maharaj named, right? Radhakund Mataji's name. So they broke the bangles and then they started digging the pond also. He said, Krishna was astonished by the lake they produced, right? So within an hour, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, a short span of an hour, they created the pond. And Krishna said, go ahead, lotus-eyed one. You and your companion should fill this pond with water from mine. So Krishna is now goading them. So you've created this pond, but where will you get the water from? I'm able to summon everybody, but you have to go everywhere. But it's okay. I'll be benevolent, and then you can take the water from my pond. But that's not going to happen. But Radha replied, no. That is impossible. Since the water of your pond is contaminated by your terrible sin of killing a cow. So Radharani is not giving up also. Although Krishna is making this point that they were still not on the right side. That's the reason why they're making the pond. Radharani is saying, how can I take your water? You've just now atoned yourself by bathing in that water, and then the water contains all the sin. Now you want my pond to have all the sins also? So that's not happening. So Radharani has a plan on how to fill the pond. She says, I will have my countless gopi companions bring the pure water of Manasa Ganga here in billions of pots. In this way, I will fill this lake with my own water and thus make it renowned, unequaled in the entire world. So this is what actually happens also, they say. The gopis make an entire line from Radhakund all the way to Manasa Ganga, and they are passing the pots around from the water from Manasa Ganga and trying to fill the pond. But it takes a long time to fill a pond, right? So then Krishna is seeing their effort and then is pleased by what Radharani is trying to do. And then Krishna says, Lord Krishna then gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all holy places. Because Krishna had already become so arrogant, and now if Krishna cannot go by himself, right, and surrender, so he asks one of the representative of the holy places, you please go and ask her. She might listen to you. Suddenly that person rose up out of Krishna's pond and bowed down to the daughter of Sri Vrishabhanu, Radharani. And then with palms joined and tears pouring from his eyes, he began praying to her in devotion. O goddess, even Lord Brahma himself, the knower of all scriptures, cannot understand your glories, nor can Lord Shiva or Lakshmi. Only Krishna, the supreme goal of all human endeavor, can understand them. And thus, he feels obliged to personally make sure that you can wash away your perspiration when you're fatigued. So, he's going as a messenger on Krishna's behalf, right? He understands what you're doing. So, none of us can understand exactly who you are or what your activities are. But only Krishna can. And therefore, he really feels obliged after seeing your endeavor to make sure you can create a pond. And he goes even further to express Krishna's mood towards Srimati Radharani, right? He is always anointing your lotus feet with nectarian charu and yavaka and decorating them with ankle bells. And he rejoices and feels most fortunate simply by satisfying the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. On his order, we have immediately come here to live in this most excellent pond, which he created by one stroke of his heel. But only if you now feel satisfied with us and bestow upon us your merciful glance will the tree of our desire bear fruit. So they're saying, although we have come to serve Krishna, Krishna himself serves you, Srimati Radharani. And they describe how Krishna is serving the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And therefore, um, only if we can come to your pond will our desire be fulfilled, is what all of them are saying. And hearing this prayer spoken by the representative of the full assembly of the holy places, Sri Radha was pleased and said, "So kindly tell me your desire." This is Srimati Radharani. Is the most merciful. Na? Karunam kurumai karuna bharite. This is the nature of Srimati Radharani. Is that there is nobody more merciful than Srimati Radharani. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Namo Mahavadanyaya. Because he comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani. That's why he is most merciful, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? So immediately when the holy rivers in the holy places pray to Srimati Radharani, she is immediately pleased, immediately merciful. And she asks them, so tell me, what is your desire? Let me fulfill your desire. They then told her plainly, our lives would be successful if we could come to your pond. That is the benediction we desire. Glancing at her beloved from the corner of her eyes, the daughter of Vrishabhanu replied with a smile. And so now she's finally acknowledging, okay, Krishna, I'll do this. Because this is all coming from as a representative of Krishna, because Krishna is chiding them, right? You go and ask, you go and ask. She's not really listening to me. So she says, please come. Her gopi companions all agreed with her decision and became immersed in the ocean of happiness. Indeed, the beauty of all creatures, both mobile and stationary, were enhanced. Thus, gaining the grace of Srimati Radharani, the holy rivers and lakes in Sri Krishna Kund forcibly broke through these boundary walls and swiftly filled Radha Kund with their waters. Lord Hari then said, my dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and to enjoy my water pastimes. Indeed, this lake is as dear to me as you are. And this is also this verse from Padma Purana, right? Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu Tatha Kundam I forget this. Vishnur Atyanta Vallabha. Just like how among all the gopis, Vishnur Atyanta Vallabha, most dear is Srimati Radharani. Similarly, it says the pond that Srimati Radharani made is also most dear to Krishna. Radha replied, I will come to bathe in your pond as well, even though you may kill hundreds of Arishta demons here. So there is a reconciliation finally. Radharani is also coming down. And it's okay if you've killed 100 demons also. I'll still come and bathe in your pond. In the future, anyone who has intense devotion for this lake, which is on the spot where you chastised Arishtashura, and who bathes or resides here, is sure to become very dear to me. So this is how Radha Kund and Shyam Kund were created. And that night, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continues, Lord Krishna initiated a rasa dance at Radha Kund, generating a torrent of the greatest mood of splendorous pleasure. Shri Krishna resembled a cloud and Srimati Radharani a brilliant flash of lightning filling the sky with abundant beauty. In this way, their divine glories permeated the expanse of the three worlds. As a final note, it should be mentioned that Narada Muni, being a great sage, understood that killing of Arishta more or less concluded the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. Therefore, Narada, anxious to facilitate the transfer of Krishna's pastimes in Mathura, approached Kamsa and addressed him as follows, which is basically the context of the verse. But in between, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives us this wonderful conversation that happens between the gopis, Srimati Radharani and Krishna, where Radha Kund is and Shyam Kund manifest, right? But what is so special about Shyam Kund and Radha Kund? Yes, it is very dear to Krishna. It is very dear to Srimati Radharani. But so are many, many places in Vrindavan also, right? Where Radha and Krishna have their pastimes. Radha Kund and Shyam Kund are places where Krishna have their water pastimes. But then there are other places where they have their other pastimes also during the day and night. So what is so wonderful about Radha Kund in the first place? And why is it so important to us? Does anybody know? Huh? Yes, this is the very reason why it is so important to us. Because if you look at other Vaishnav traditions, Vrindavan is important, but Shyam Kund and Radha Kund are not given the highest importance that we give as Gaudiya Vaishnavas by any other Vaishnav traditions or any tradition for that matter, right? So Rupa Goswami, in his Nectar of Instruction, it has 11 verses, right? It's a very concise book where Rupa Goswami is picking all the instructions that have ever been given and then making a wonderful garland of 11 verses Only the most important things can be there. And in those 11 verses, he gives 3 verses to speak about Radhakund, which basically can tell us how important that place is for all of us, right? And especially, he starts actually by giving 2 verses to give the hierarchy of Srimati Radhakund actually. Why is it, and where is the hierarchy of Radhakund among all spiritual places? And text 9 of the Nectar of Instruction, he says, Vaikunta janito vara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavat vrindaranya mudara pani ramanat tatrapi govardhana radha kunda mihapi gokulapate premamrita plavanat kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakha. So Rupa Goswami starts from Vaikunta. We know the spiritual world is definitely the most superior of all places, right? Krishna is personally present there. All the servants and devotees of Krishna are present there. So Vaikunta is definitely amazing and wonderful. But Rupa Goswami says, Vaikunta janito vara madhupuri. Greater than Vaikunta is Mathura Mandal. Why? Because Krishna personally appeared in Mathura Mandal, right? In Mathura. So even greater than Vaikunta is Mathura. And we see this also in the case of Brihad Bhagavatam also, right? We find a way of finding hierarchy and seeing which is the topmost. So, and the reason that Rupa Goswami gives is because Krishna was personally appeared there in Mathura, right? But superior to Mathura, the entire Mathura Puri or the Mathura Mandal is the forest of Vrindavan, he says. And why? Because Krishna personally performed his Rasa Leela pastimes in Vrindavan, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, we say that it represents the body of Krishna, right? And the 10th canto is the beautiful smiling face of Krishna, and especially the 5 chapters that describe the Rasa Leela, the Rasa Panchadhyayi, are considered the epitome, the best of the 10th canto, because it represents the smile of Krishna. So Vrindavan is, of course, incredibly greater because Krishna personally performed his Rasa Leela pastimes there, right? But even greater than Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami says is Govardhan. And why? Do you know why he says that? Because Krishna personally picked up Govardhan and held Govardhan continuously for 7 nights and 7 days. This was an incredible thing that had never happened before, right? And also, the gopis themselves say that Giriraj is the best of all servants, right? Haridasa Varya, he's called. Hantaya Madri Abala Haridasa Varya. And he does so much service to the Krishna and Balram and all the Gopas and the gopis, to the entire Vrajavasis actually. So even better than Vrindavan, he says is Giriraj or Govardhan. But above Govardhan also, already we've said this is the topmost, Haridasa Varya, but there is something even better than this, Rupa Goswami says, is the sight of his, and above all, the super excellent Sri Radhakund stands supreme, he says. Why? Because it's overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. So, even among all the rasas that we have, it is considered that the Madhurya rasa is the topmost because it encapsulates all the other rasas that are there also. And the epitome of the exchange of Madhurya rasa or conjugal rasa between Radha and Krishna happens in this very place called Radhakund. That is why it is the topmost of all places. And then he asks, where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? And Prabhupada gives this wonderful, wonderful purport of why it is so important for us. Prabhupada says, in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Vrajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakund. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. So 5,000 years back, when Krishna and the Vrajavasis were there, Shyamkund and Radhakund manifested here, but then they'd been covered, like all the places of pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Mahaprabhu personally sent the Goswamis to rediscover those places of pastimes and write books about those pastimes. So before that, Mahaprabhu took a tour of Vrindavan before sending the Goswamis there, right? And there he was specifically looking for this place, Radhakund. Among all places, he was specifically looking for this place. Actually, Arishtagram, or I forget the name of this village actually. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that when Mahaprabhu entered that village where Radhakund and Shyamkund are there, he had these real transformations happening in his body. He knew this was a very special place. And then he went in search of Shyamkund and Radhakund. So Prabhupada continues. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. Actually, this was in the middle of paddy fields, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes. Between the paddy fields, Mahaprabhu found two small ponds there. And then Mahaprabhu identified them as Shyamkund and Radhakund. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed first by the 6 Goswamis, such as Rupa and Raghunath Das. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Sri Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. This is why it is so much important to us. Not because, Shyamkund and Radhakund in itself are the greatest places among all places in the universe, but it is so much more important because Mahaprabhu wanted to find it. And for us, that is much more important than anything else. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. This is Prabhupada, right? The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava Sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakund. Thus, Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada says. And ultimately, in the last verse of Nectar of Instruction, he says how difficult it is to get a residence in Radhakund. It's not a matter of just buying a ticket and going and taking a dip in Radhakund. It is the entire internal mood and aspirations of how we approach Radhakund. And this is why, in the early days of our movement, when the devotees were taking Radhakund very frivolously and bathing there and having lots of fun there, like how you would go and have in any water body, Prabhupada actually restricted everybody to take bath in Radhakund actually, because we really didn't know early in the movement how exalted Radhakund was. So it is an incredibly important place for all of us, and is one of the most merciful places of all, because it is non-different from Srimati Radharani herself, and it can bestow all the mercy that we can get from Srimati Radharani if we serve Sri Radhakund nicely. And this Bahulashtami day is the day that Mahaprabhu found Radhakund and Shyamkund. That's the day we celebrate, because I think the actual day when Shyamkund and Radhakund were manifested was in the Chaitra Mas, I think, Chaitra Purnima, and that's when they have the Ras Leela also there. But the day that we celebrate is the day that Mahaprabhu found Radhakund and Shyamkund. That is Bahulashtami day. So that's why it's really special for us. And I was daring enough to speak about it from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But because Prabhupada mentioned it in the Nectar of Instruction, I thought we could speak a little bit about it. Because Prabhupada says, let me see. Prabhupada says, Rupa Goswami had written all the books, so many books, right? And Prabhupada mentions this in the preface. Sri Rupa Goswami has given us many other books, such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava. These are all really exalted literature. But Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. So, which I am definitely one. So one should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. So Prabhupada introduces this, Rupa Goswami introduces this to the neophyte devotees, right, in his book Upadeshamrita. So it is good for us to know where our end goal is. This is where we want to go and serve. Our Goswamis are there, Prabhupada is there. So Radhakund is the epitome of the highest service that we can offer to Radha and Krishna. And very kindly they manifested that from the spiritual world here for all of us to go and serve. So I thought we can read about it. But the speaker choice verse is very difficult to pick one from so many different verses. So we'll stop here if there are any reflections, thoughts, questions. Yes, Rasa. Can you get a mic? Or you can use this. I have to repeat it or else. Why don't you use this? And then I can get the other.
No, I just had a simple question. So how do you, so there's this thing about getting devotion by bathing in the holy places, and now you get 2 mics. There is also the, I guess, the importance of personal sadhana and so on and so forth, right? I mean, the whole very, and you did touch upon it in the sense that we cannot take it frivolously and so on and so forth. Having said that, sometimes the question is asked, okay, it's the month of Kartik, and in month of Kartik everything is multiplied by 1,000 times. You go to Radha Kund and you bathe in the waters of the Radha Kund, and something happens and you come out and you're a pure devotee. And so from a sadhaka standpoint, how should you look at how do you prioritize things, or do you give equal importance to both of them, or do you first focus on one thing and then the other, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I've heard these months like Kartik, they're incredibly potent, right? And they are a way for bringing in new devotees, where you have these huge sales that happen in Thanksgiving, right? So usually people wait and don't buy, and then somehow in Thanksgiving they're induced into buying things that they even don't need, because you're getting it at such a cheap price, or there is an incredible offer that you have. So the month of Kartik is incredibly potent. The scriptures say it, the nectar of devotion says it, no doubt about it. But for a practicing devotee, the month of Kartik or other days are equally potent, in the sense that there is no differentiation between those 2 months. For a devotee, the impetus is to do more in those months, not take it as a way to say, I do something little and you get multiplied so much more. Whereas for somebody who is just getting introduced, it's an impetus for them, right? I don't have to do much. I can just try something this month. But still, if I try it genuinely, it has incredible value in what I try. And then through that genuine endeavor, then you start developing the taste and you start continuing. That's the idea of all these special months, right? And for us, sadhana is something that, if Prabhupada wrote this, right? You can take a dip and then you get love for Krishna and Radharani in Radhakund. But then he emphasized the morning program and the evening program. So for us to actually get a revelation of the Dham, it's like we said, the holy places are personalities. Radhakund is a personality. Everything is a personality. And for them to reveal themselves to us, we have to go to them in the right mood. And sadhana is what creates or inculcates that mood in us, so that the Dham or these holy places will reveal themselves to us, right? And when we are at a optimal point in our sadhana, and when we go to these places, these things do happen. It's not just that it's written so that it's over-exaggerating things. It will reveal, the Dham will reveal ourselves, the Dham will reveal itself to us, and the love that is dormant in us will awaken. But it is definitely not without sadhana. Or when we bathe, that this fortune starts developing in us, right? Brahmande brahmite kon bhagyavan jeev. That bhagya or that fortune develops in so many different ways. It can come by the association of devotees, it can come by the association of the Dham, it can come by the association of the scriptures, by Srimad Bhagavatam, by the deity. In so many different ways that fortune can come upon us, because it's costless in nature. So somebody can go and take a dip in Radhakund, and this fortune is placed in them. And then if they sincerely try to endeavor, then they can actually realize the full potential of it. That's how I understand this. It's not that today we buy a ticket to Delhi and then go to Radhakund, and then tomorrow we become Prema Bhaktas, fully realized souls. It just doesn't happen if we don't have that internal aptitude for it. Makes sense?
Oh, that's wonderful. I think the question was more in terms of even, you performing sadhana for so, at least, whatever you call sadhana, your own personal practices for several years, and at some point of time you think, I need I need some help here.
Yeah.
In terms of not really achieving prema bhakti, but even coming to the point of actually even performing sadhana properly. Yes, and so this month, the months of Kartik or anything else, what do you think that would help? While you're saying the sadhana has to be performed to actually properly approach the Radha Kund, Sham Kund, or whatever else that accelerates, if I may, is it also the other way around where these tadiyas or these different places accelerate your sadhana or intensify your sadhana and so on and so forth?
Oh, definitely. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? In Shuddha Bhakti, he says, Madhava Titi Bhakti Janani. These days are very special. That it gives birth. It's the birth to Bhakti, right? Bhakti Janani is the mother of Bhakti. So these days are incredibly special. There is no doubt about it. It's not that we're doing it as a matter of ritual. Oh, we come every day during the month of Kartik and we show a ghee lamp. No, these are really powerful activities that we're trying to do in the month of Kartik, right? Because this can give birth to Bhakti in our hearts. So that's definitely there. And the thing that happens, at least when we are performing sadhana bhakti, is that it's definitely, of course, it's split into two, right? One is Vaidhi sadhana and Raganuga sadhana bhakti. And what we focus mostly on is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And we focus so much on the Vaidhi aspect. Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion that initially it's helpful, right? But if focus is so much on rules and regulations, then our hearts start becoming hard. And then what is the chance that something that we hear about Krishna will actually move us, right? So the rules are important. We have to follow the rules and regulations. But our focus, Prabhupada says, should be more on how we get attached to Krishna. The rules are there so that we get attached to Krishna. So that's why we start hearing about all of the pastimes of Krishna, and then it's very endearing to the heart on how these exchanges happen between the Lord and his devotees, right? The Lord initially takes an arrogant stance, but in the end tells, I'm here to serve your lotus feet. Right? So this is Krishna. So when we start hearing more and more about the qualities of Krishna and his devotees, then the impetus to perform sadhana happens not in a ritualistic way, but more in a spontaneous way, right? Sometimes at least, that, I really want to do this. No, it's not that I have to finish my 16 rounds, but I really want to chant today. Those glimpses start happening. Krishna gives us that. And then we can start having that as a platform and go ahead. But then we really need, I think, the association of those kinds of devotees for that to happen, which is the most important thing. Or else by our own endeavor, it's very, very hard to sustain that mood, right? If we have devotees who have that spontaneity for Krishna, just being among their presence, like when we are there in the presence of our spiritual masters, it's just there, right? We don't really need to force ourselves to do, or when we are in the Dham, that potency is completely there, that where the practice of bhakti becomes so easy. So somehow we have to capture that and then bring it to our daily lives. That's why we go on yatras. We have these wonderful months that try to fill our pots when it's getting drained. Thank you. Thank you, Rasraj Bro. Anything else? Yes?
I had a different question in terms of, it's really very
You're grilling me today.
No. The whole idea, and this is very, very, it from an external standpoint, right? I mean, if I'm looking at this pastime and you're seeing Narad Muni going and essentially telling on Krishna almost, saying that he's the culprit, and it almost seems as if, the contrary to the behavior of a sadhu in one sense, that the sadhu is not supposed to have enemies, not supposed to, really tell on anyone. Essentially, sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Right, and he's not doing that. And of course, we understand that this is, but from an external standpoint, it does seem very, very strange as to how these things are happening. So, you have any insights? And
this is why the context is so much important, right? If you just look at this one snapshot, he's going to Kamsa and then telling on Krishna, right? Oh, the person you're trying to kill is right there. So it might mean like, what is he doing? Krishna is there, nice and happy, and then now he's telling on him. But then if you zoom out, what happens in the beginning is the Devas actually go to the shore of the milk ocean and request Krishna to come for a specific purpose in the first place. Right? That the earth is burdened with so many impious kings, and the topmost of them is Kamsa, actually. He was a horrible, horrible person. So this has to happen. That's one aspect of how we look at it. So Narada in a way is facilitating what is a natural occurrence, right? And the other thing, especially for us as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our understanding is even more deeper, in the sense that so far what has happened is Krishna's pastimes have happened in union, right? But there is something even more greater than pastimes in union, is the pastimes in separation. So therefore, Narada Muni, in order to facilitate that for the devotees and Krishna, is trying to do this. And he in fact doesn't even tell Krishna, right? If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's told Kamsa and then comes post fact and tells Krishna, oh Krishna, I've told this to Kamsa, actually Akrura is going to come and pick you up. Probably he gets a day's notice. Krishna gets a day's notice before leaving Vrindavan. He doesn't have even a month's notice, right? So this is the Lord, and the Lord accepts it, right? He's subservient to his devotee. Oh Narada, is that what you want? Okay, I'm ready to leave Vrindavan. So even if you look at it from the perspective of Krishna, he should have felt, oh, what have you done? I was having such a nice time here, and now you've taken me away from here, which is what he felt from Lord Brahma when he took the Gopas away, right? He was not very happy with him at all. Even when he came to pray, Krishna just smiled and acknowledged him and said, go away. I didn't expect this from you. But with Narada Muni, he was very happy that, oh, Akrura is coming to pick me up. That's fine. I'll pack my bags and leave. Because that was he was actually enhancing the pastimes of the Lord in separation. So for us, that's how we see it. And in fact, every pastime, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas see that. Even Lord Ramachandra's pastimes, the happy times are much less than the sad times in the entire Ramayana. If you see the separation, 14 years, out of which 13 years they were together, and then 1 year they were apart with Ravana. They come back and then gone. Few years they were, and then fully in separation. So the total of like 20 years in Ramayana is together with Sita and Lord Ramachandra, something like that. So, but for us, we see that is even more greater than them being together, right? It's the ecstasy of being in separation and thinking about them. Prabhupada actually in the next few purports talks about it in the NOI, about being in separation from the Lord. It's much better, he says. And us as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu aspire for it, Prabhupada says. Is that instead of saying, Prabhupada would often quote the verse of the Goswamis, right? He Radhe Vraja Devi Ke Chalalite He Nanda Suno Kuta. That the Goswamis, practically Radharani was coming and serving the Goswamis, right? So she would put her sari and things like that, because the Goswami is sitting in the heat of Vrindavan. She was serving them, and yet the Goswami's mood was, where are you Radharani? Where are you, the gopis? Where are you, Krishna? So this is our mood as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that we have not seen Krishna. We are trying to see Krishna. So in that mood, Narada Muni is also accelerating it. That's my understanding of how we see this. Thank you. Okay, we'll stop here then. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.